Good morning. Last night I had a thought to go to another location because now I have an hour extra since the clock did change here. Yesterday there was confusion because the clock changed for the Palestinian Authority, but it didn't change here because obviously in the night of Shabbat from Friday to Saturday, that type of action would probably be not thinkable. And then for the Muslim population, primarily in the Palestinian Authority, Friday is their day for prayer, and so they wouldn't change it. They would need to change it for the beginning of the new week. This brings out the cultural differences, and it's good that we are able to live with the cultural differences. But the phone I have that is on Wi-Fi picked up the authority, and the phone I have on data picked up the Israel time. So I was confused just when I said the time had changed. I got some pushback from some viewers in Israel, and the bells already had changed as well, probably since olden times. It's a fix like that. So it's those little quirks that happen when people see things from different angles, and we live together in the same world. We make room for each other, which is a good thing. Now the sun has got a little head start on us. So now I think we are 8 hours here from the east coast of the US. And we're probably an hour closer to Australia, shorter distance in time. The sun is getting now high enough that we can almost not see the Dome of the Rock anymore. So this morning we have a lot of possible elements, very wide menu to chew upon. We have the great promise of the tribes coming back to Jerusalem after the exile. What's interesting is it's not their own determination that brings them back. The word from the Lord is the Lord will bring them back. I will bring them back. So they're not going to force their way back. They're going to come with the Lord's prodding, urging. So then it's a combined action of primarily the Lord bringing them back. It was actually, I think, one of the reasons why a small portion of pious Jews are very slow to get on the train of the return of the people here until they expect a Messiah to come to bring them back, to establish a kingdom. Obviously, the Jews we follow in that regard of Messiah recognized in Jesus that reality 2,000 years ago and read all of the scriptures in that light. And again, we leave space for different perspectives depending on the grace each one received. The Lord working in our lives. The Lord gives us all the freedom. And He also accompanies us when we make bad choices. He accompanies us on our path. And there's an interesting mention in there of healing, or at least of assisting those who are lacking faculties. I will gather them from the ends of the earth, with the blind and the lame, and the mothers and those with child. Back then there weren't any airplanes or speed trains or comfortable coaches in which to travel. Maybe the king had some beasts of burden and a nice coach or slaves to carry him, but all the poor people were walking. And so how could the blind come back? They don't see. And how could the lame come back from the ends of the world? And they should come as an immense throng. And they set out in tears, but they're going to come rejoicing. On a level road, none shall stumble. We could say then not even the blind. Leading them to brooks of water. We have that beautiful Psalm 23 that the Lord will lead us to refreshing streams. And the beautiful self-revelation, for I am a father to Israel. Ephraim is my firstborn. And this will particularly happen then from the Christian perspective in the resurrection. The firstborn, born again in the Holy Spirit. Again, it's God's power, it's not our making. And then the theme of fatherhood is there, that's so beautiful. I'm not sure when is the first mention of father in such an explicit way in the scriptures, referring to God. It would be interesting to check. I welcome anybody that puts up that note, if there's an easy check on that, or later on to send a note. But that opens up a very intimate, tender relationship with God. And you see, we're 600 years, 6 centuries with Isaiah before. These are Sunday morning bells, but also at 7:15 they're stronger, but now it's 6:15. Do you like the bells? I think these bells are of the very Holy Sepulchre, but I don't guarantee that because it's hard to see where sound emanates. You can't see sound. But I think they're coming out of that belfry there to the right of the big dome. And just in perspective between the big dome and the Lutheran tower, you see that belfry that's there? It's a square structure with a little bit of a leaning roof. The bells of Jerusalem. And the reaction to this wonderful action of God is, the Lord has done great things for us. We are filled with joy. And so Psalm 126 is also a psalm of ascent. We had one yesterday as well, I think. Coming up to Jerusalem. But the emphasis here, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us. They sow in tears, they reap rejoicing. They go forth weeping. They should come back rejoicing. The Lord has done great things for us. We are filled with joy. And this is a great psalm to have around in moments of triumph, but also in moments of sadness, because if we're going out in the moments of sadness, and to create this psalm, it gives us hope. If we're in moments of joy, this psalm lifts up our joy to a whole other level. It helps us to recognize the Lord is the source of our blessing. And the note from the Hebrews is very interesting today, because it puts a finger, points to the wounds, to the suffering of this high priest who enters the Holy of Holies, and that he didn't choose from himself to do it, but he was appointed. You are my son, this day I have begotten you. And there we have that line again of fatherhood. You are my son, this day I have begotten you. And we just say a quick word also about the gospel. There we're down in Jericho. So right here, we can't see the mountains of Moab now with the sun so high. But behind the Lutheran Tower there, over the Holy Sepulchre Dome, looking out there over the Holy Sepulchre Dome is a better indicator. You see the outline of the highest mountain in the Judean desert, or the highest hill. And then Jericho is just off to the right there, maybe behind the Our Father Tower in that straight line, or the Ascension Tower, or maybe between both of them over Bethphage, Bethany, and that would be where Jericho is. And so the scene of the gospel today is in Jericho, and there's a blind man. And Jesus is on the way up to Jerusalem. And there's a throng following him. And there were throngs in the first reading coming, being restored. And there's a blind man who can't see. But there's a great irony in Mark's account, because the disciples themselves, the closest ones to Jesus, reveal a lot of blindness still in their lives. And even the disciples, the people, are stopping this blind man. He wants to get to Jesus, but he doesn't let them influence him. He insists, and he shouts out all the louder. How are we praying? How are we insisting with simplicity and humility, but with all our heart, calling out to God for his blessing? What a way to live, to call out for blessing to the Lord. Today is Sunday, so I encourage you to call out today to the Lord, to call out for our broken world, to call out for a relative who is sick, but to call out for your own soul, that any blindness you have, you can pray for me as well, that any blindness I have will be lifted, that we will be able to see God's plan in our lives, because he's calling us, and to jump up when the Lord calls. This blind man jumped up. What can he see? And he still jumps up, and he runs, and what can he see? And the people are saying, don't go. But when they hear the Lord calls him now, they all change their mind, and they help him to get to the Lord. The Lord's call in our lives, it's there, it's coming, and he's gathering us. God bless you. See you later, alligators. What happened there? There we go. Come on. Now we have it. Have a blessed Sunday and a blessed new week.